This forgotten Wo2 method doubles or triples your harvest. Why don't they teach it? During World War II, fertilizer supply collapsed across entire regions. Production should have failed. It did not. Yields increased in some areas, not because of better inputs, but because of a different system. A soil system that holds nutrients, stores water, builds fertility over time. A system that does not depend on external supply. That system still exists, but most no longer use it. Every week matters. There are two paths in modern gardening. One feeds the plant, the other builds the foundation. Both produce results in the beginning. Only one survives long term. The first path is visible. Fertilizer is applied. Growth appears quickly. Correction is immediate. The second path is slower at the start. The system is built below the surface. The results are not immediate, but over time, the difference becomes irreversible. One system consumes resources. The other produces them. One requires constant input. The other becomes self-sufficient. This is where food security begins, or fails. Most gardens are built on a broken model. Soil is treated as a container. Nutrients are added from the outside. Water is applied repeatedly. Problems are corrected after they appear. This approach creates output, but it also creates dependency. Each season resets the system. Each cycle requires new input. Each harvest depletes the soil further. The system never stabilizes. It survives, but it does not improve. This is the hidden cost. Fertilizer does not build soil. It replaces what the soil cannot provide. Watering does not fix structure. It compensates for what the soil cannot hold. Pest control does not create balance. It reacts to a system already out of alignment. Each solution works temporarily, but none of them build a foundation. And without a foundation, the system cannot sustain itself. The Wo2 soil method did not solve problems one by one. It removed the cause of the problems. Instead of feeding plants, it built a system that feeds itself. Instead of correcting soil, it created soil that improves over time. Instead of increasing inputs, it reduced the need for them. This is the difference between maintenance and control. After the war, agriculture changed direction. Industrial fertilizer became widely available. Production shifted towards speed and scale. Feeding plants became easier than building soil. Short-term results became the priority. The system was simplified. Add nutrients, apply water, correct issues, repeat. This approach works in the short term, but it creates a dependency cycle. Soil loses organic structure. Microbial life declines. Water retention decreases. Each season requires more input to maintain the same result. What appears efficient becomes fragile. A system that requires constant correction is not stable. A stable system does not need to be repaired every cycle. It regulates itself. It holds nutrients. It retains water. It supports biological activity. When these functions exist, production changes. Growth becomes consistent. Inputs decrease. Yield compounds over time. This is where most growers fall behind. They focus on what is visible: leaves, growth, harvest. But the system that determines those results is below the surface, and it is built before the season begins. Timing decides everything. If the soil system is not prepared early, the entire cycle shifts into correction mode. Nutrients are added instead of retained. Water is applied instead of stored. Problems are managed instead of prevented. The system never reaches stability, and stability is required for long-term output. Food security is not created by occasional success. It is created by consistency. Consistency requires a system. A system requires a foundation. And a foundation must be built before the season demands it. Delay removes advantage. Delay increases effort. Delay reduces yield. Every week matters. The Wo2 method was not designed for convenience. It was designed for constraint. Limited resources, limited supply, uncertain conditions. It forced a different approach. Build soil that holds everything it needs. Create a system that produces internally. Reduce dependency on external input. When this system is in place, something changes. The soil becomes active. Water remains available longer. Nutrients are released gradually. Plants grow without interruption. Output does not increase slightly. It multiplies across cycles. This is where yield begins to separate. Most systems are built for immediate results. This system is built for long-term control. It does not peak and decline. It improves and stabilizes. Each season adds to the next. Each cycle strengthens the foundation. This is how self-sufficient systems are created. The difference is not effort. The difference is structure. Two gardens can receive the same amount of work, but produce completely different outcomes. One depends on input, the other depends on the system. One stops when resources stop, the other continues. This is not a technique. It is a foundation that determines everything that follows. Without it, every solution is temporary. With it, the system begins to operate on its own. This is the shift from reacting to controlling. Most will continue using input-based methods because they are familiar, because results are immediate, because the system underneath is not visible. But long-term results are not determined by what is visible. They are determined by what is built first. This is where timing becomes the deciding factor. Those who build the system early enter stability sooner. Those who delay remain in the correction cycle longer. The difference compounds. It is not visible at the beginning, but it becomes permanent over time. This is the Wotu soil secret. Not a product, not a shortcut, not a single technique, a system, a foundation, a long-term structure that replaces dependency with control. In the next section, the structure of this system will be defined, not as isolated actions, but as connected layers that function together, because a system only works when all parts are in place. And once it is built, it does not need to be rebuilt every season. Food security is built on systems that improve over time. Self-sufficient systems do not rely on constant input. They rely on structure, they rely on timing, and every week matters. A system is not defined by what is added, it is defined by what it retains. Most soil fails because it cannot hold. Water passes through, nutrients are lost. Biological activity collapses between cycles. This creates instability, and instability forces intervention. Intervention becomes the routine. Watering replaces retention. Fertilizer replaces nutrient cycling. Correction replaces prevention. Each action solves an immediate problem, but reinforces long-term dependency. The system never stabilizes. It reacts. A stable system behaves differently. It stores water. It regulates nutrients. It sustains biological activity. When these functions are present, external input decreases naturally, not because of effort reduction, but because the system no longer leaks. This is the first principle. Production is not limited by what is added. It is limited by what is retained. A system that loses resources will always require more. A system that holds resources will always require less. This difference compounds over time. The Wotu soil method was built on retention, not on supply. It created a structure that holds water, captures nutrients, and maintains life below the surface. This structure is not temporary. It improves with each cycle. The system is built in layers. Each layer has a function. Each function supports the others. Removing one layer weakens the entire structure. Adding all layers creates stability. There are 3 primary layers. They operate together. They form the foundation of a self-sufficient system. 1. Organic mass layer. This is the storage system. Carbon-based material holds water. It captures nutrients. It creates space for biological activity. Without this layer, the soil cannot retain. Most systems underuse organic mass. Thin compost applications. Minimal organic input. Exposed soil. This creates immediate loss. Water evaporates. Nutrients wash away. Soil structure collapses. A functional system increases organic mass continuously, not once per season, not as a correction, as a permanent layer. This is what creates capacity. Capacity determines everything. A system with low capacity must be refilled constantly. A system with high capacity regulates itself. This is the shift from dependency to control. 2. Biological network. Organic mass alone is not enough. It must be processed. Microorganisms break down material. They convert stored nutrients into available forms. They stabilize the system. Without biology, organic matter becomes inactive. Most soil loses biological activity between cycles. Dry conditions, chemical disruption, lack of continuous input. Each season, the system resets. This is why results remain inconsistent. A stable system protects biological activity. Moisture is maintained. Organic input continues. Disturbance is minimized. This allows the system to operate continuously, not seasonally. When biological activity stabilizes, nutrients are released gradually, not in spikes. Plants receive consistent supply. Growth becomes stable. Intervention decreases. 3. Surface protection layer. This layer controls exposure. It regulates temperature, prevents evaporation, protects soil structure. Without protection, all other layers degrade. Bare soil is unstable. Sunlight breaks structure. Water evaporates rapidly. Biological activity declines. Each day of exposure reduces system capacity. Surface protection prevents loss. Moisture remains. Temperature stabilizes. Microbial life continues. This allows the system to function without interruption. These three layers create the foundation. Organic mass stores. Biology processes. Surface protection preserves. Together, they form a system that retains. Retention creates stability. Stability reduces input. Reduced input increases efficiency. Efficiency creates long-term control. This is how food security is built, not through supply, through structure. A system that produces internally is not affected by external disruption. Most systems are designed for output. This system is designed for continuity. Output is a result. Continuity is the foundation. Without continuity, production fluctuates. With continuity, production stabilizes. This is where long-term results are decided, not during harvest, not during planting, before the cycle begins. Timing determines whether the system stabilizes or fails. If the layers are established early, they begin to function before peak demand. If delayed, the system never catches up. Intervention replaces structure. Every week matters. A delayed system cannot store enough water, cannot build sufficient biology, cannot stabilize nutrient release. The entire cycle shifts into correction mode. This is why most gardens never become self-sufficient. They operate in cycles: plant, grow, harvest, reset. The system never carries forward. A self-sufficient system does not reset. Each cycle builds on the previous one. Organic mass increases, biological activity expands, retention improves. The system becomes stronger over time. This is the long-term advantage. Effort does not increase, but output becomes more stable. Inputs decrease, but production continues. This is the difference between managing a garden and building a system. One requires constant attention. The other becomes predictable. The Multiplies 2 method was built for predictability, not maximum output in one cycle, maximum stability across many cycles. This is what creates security. Food security is not created by peak production. It is created by consistent production. Consistency requires structure. Structure requires time. Time cannot be recovered. Delay pushes the system into instability. Stability requires early action. Every week matters. In the next section, the operational structure will be defined, not as isolated actions, but as a sequence that locks the system into place. Because a system is not built by understanding, it is built by execution over time. And once it is in place, the need for correction begins to disappear. A system only functions when it is applied in the correct sequence. Structure alone is not enough. Timing locks the system into place. When the order is correct, each layer supports the next. When the order is wrong, each layer competes and fails. This is where most systems break, not because the components are incorrect, but because they are applied without sequence. The Multiplies soil system follows a fixed order. Organic mass is established first. Biology is activated second. Surface protection is applied immediately after. Each step builds capacity. Each step reduces loss. Delay between steps weakens the system. Every week matters. Deep organic layer establishes storage. Carbon material is placed directly into the soil profile. It increases water retention immediately. Nutrients are captured instead of lost. This creates the base capacity. Without this, all inputs pass through. The system cannot hold. Over time, this layer becomes a permanent reservoir. It reduces watering frequency. It stabilizes the entire system long-term. Continuous organic feeding maintains biological activity. Fresh organic material is added regularly. This feeds microorganisms without interruption. Nutrient release becomes continuous, not in spikes, not in cycles. This stabilizes growth. Plants no longer depend on external feeding. Over time, the system becomes self-sufficient. Inputs decrease while production remains stable. Permanent surface cover protects the foundation. The soil is never exposed. Moisture remains trapped. Temperature remains stable. Biological activity continues without interruption. This prevents system collapse between cycles. Over time, loss is minimized. Retention increases. The system begins to regulate itself. Execution determines outcome. Understanding does not create results. A system only works when applied consistently. Timing controls stability. Stability controls production. This is how food security is built, not by effort, but by structure repeated over time. A system fails when timing is not controlled. Most gardens lose output not because of poor soil, but because of empty time. A bed is harvested. Production stops. Soil remains exposed. Weeks are lost. This breaks continuity. Continuity determines whether a system compounds or resets. A self-sufficient system does not allow gaps. Every space must produce. Every cycle must connect. Every week matters. When timing is controlled, output stabilizes. When timing is ignored, the system collapses into correction. Succession planting system maintains continuous production. A new crop is prepared before the current one is harvested. Transition happens immediately. Soil is never left inactive. Nutrient cycling continues without interruption. This prevents loss of biological activity. Over time, the system produces continuously. Output increases without expanding space. Density and layering system multiplies production within the same area. Space is not left unused. Vertical growth and ground crops function together. Root zones overlap. Canopy layers form. This increases total yield per bed. Without density, soil potential is wasted. With layering, production compounds long-term. Water retention system removes dependency on frequent irrigation. Organic mass stores moisture. Surface cover prevents evaporation. Deep structure holds water below the surface. Watering becomes less frequent. Plants access stable moisture levels. This reduces stress. Growth remains consistent across cycles. Control replaces reaction. A system built on timing does not wait for problems. It prevents them. When succession, density, and retention operate together, output becomes predictable. This is the shift from seasonal gardening to continuous production. Food security depends on consistency. Consistency depends on timing. Delay creates gaps. Gaps reduce yield. Every week matters. The difference is not knowledge. It is timing applied through a system. Most growers understand what to add, but not what to build. Inputs create short-term results. Structure creates long-term stability. A system built correctly does not need to be restarted each season. It carries forward. Organic mass increases. Biological activity strengthens. Retention improves. Each cycle adds to the next. This is how a system becomes self-sufficient. Food security is not created by a single harvest. It is created by consistency over time. Consistency is not accidental. It is designed. A foundation must be established early. Delay shifts the system into correction. Correction increases effort. Effort without structure does not scale. A system that depends on constant input will always remain limited. The Wobo2 soil method was never about higher effort. It was about control. Control of water, nutrients, and biological activity within the soil itself. When these are managed internally, external dependency disappears. This is the long-term advantage. Less input, more stability, continuous production. Time determines who reaches that point. Those who build early stabilize sooner. Those who delay remain in cycles of loss and recovery. The difference compounds. And once it separates, it becomes permanent. Every week matters.